Now, today's new topic, we are moving towards the closer look at the Cholas, the dynasties, the temples, the sculptures, and the administration, where we will be having a deep look about the Chola dynasty. Now, my dear children, before I proceed, let us see towards the map, where we can see the river Kaveri and the Delta region, followed with two important towns, the Tanjavur and the Urayur. The Pallavas the subordinates to the Pallavas were Murtayar and the Cholas. The chief family in the south who were subordinate to the Pallavas were Murtayur and the Cholas. But the Cholas had the power in Urayur, and Murtayur had held their power regions around the Kaveri Delta. Vijayalaya, the member of the ancient chief family from the Cholas of Urayur, captured the delta from Murtayur in the mid-19th century. He built a beautiful temple town of Thanjavur and a temple for the goddesses Nishum Basudini there. The successors of Vijayalaya had expanded the kingdom in size by the powers and ending. The story of the Chola dynasty goes as they grew in size and powers with the conquest of the neighboring areas by the successors of Vijayalaya, who had expanded their kingdom in size and power by adding Pandyans and the Pallava territories to the south and the north, which again became the part of Chola kingdom. The Pandyans and the Pallava territories were added to the Chola kingdom extending from north and south. Again, Raja Raja I was the most influential and most powerful Chola ruler who became the king in 985, and therefore and thereafter also he expanded his control over these areas. He is also known for the reorganization of the administration followed by his son Rajendra I. He raided the Ganga Valley, Sri Lanka and other countries of Southeast Asia with the help of Navy. Now, as we can see over here, just look at this particular map where we see the map which speaks about the map. So the blue color represents the Chola territory and the pink color, the shaded pink color region represents the Chola influence. How did the Chola territory expanded and what were the influence in the different regions and the subcontinent? The splendid temples of the Chola Empire. Raja Raja and Rajendra I built splendid temples at Tanjavur and Ganga Konda Cholapuram. There were various economic, social, and cultural activities associated with the Chola temples. Now, the temples are being regarded as the nuclei settlement which grew around them. What kinds of settlements were around the temples? There were the centers of craft productions like the bronze images as you can see in the picture. Temples received huge land endowments from the rulers. The produce of this land went to maintain all kinds of specialists who worked near the temples, like the priests, the garland makers, the cooks, the sweepers, and the musicians. All were got to be built by the splendid temples of Thanjavur and Gangai Konda Cholapuram. Now, my dear children, can you see these two beautiful temples? That is the temples at Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjavur and Gangai Konda Cholapuram temple, which was built by Raja Raja and Rajendra, which are the architectural and the sculptural marvels. Why did the Chola temples became the nuclei, which we have right now, we have discussed, why the settlements had grew near them. These were the centers of craft production granted by the rulers and the others. Produce of the land and the temples were also being used up. The agriculture and what were the steps which were being taken by the Chola rulers to improve agriculture. Now, my dear children, for agriculture, we require land and water. These are two essential factors which are got to be needed to improve agriculture. If there is huge agriculture, the productivity is more benefit for all. How do we get land? We get land by clearing up the forest, lands to bring more land under cultivation. Wells are got to be built for water. Irrigation work was also being developed. From the 5th and the 6th century, the Kaveri Delta area of Tamil Nadu was being opened for large-scale cultivation. Forests were cleared, land were leveled, and embankments were made to prevent flood. Now, my dear children, can you see this picture of embankment, which is generally basically V-shaped picture? Rainwater harvesting was used during this Chola period. Many areas were got to be cultivated 2 crops in a year. It was necessary to water the crops artificially. Variety of methods were being used for irrigation, like wells were dug, huge tanks were being constructed to collect rainwater. Most of the new rulers and the villagers took an active interest in these activities. Now, as it is the embankment is a V-shaped walls, they prevent water from overflowing. Kaveri River had many channels and provided water for irrigation. Now, as we move towards, again, we are moving towards a map which shows about how did the Kaveri River provided water for irrigation and fertile soil to Urayur, Gangaikonda, Cholapuram, to Thanjavur, and why these areas are got to be regarded as more fertile and for agriculture. Now, what do we understand with the term sluice gate? If you see, the sluice gate is the picture which is there on your side, image shown in the textbook. The sluice gate is a sliding gate for the control of the flow of water. Now, can you see the two arrows, two red dotted arrows? What does these arrows indicate? The red arrows, when they are being pulled up, the water flows to the other side. And when it is being pulled down, the water is got to be obstructed so that the water is being received all throughout the year, just like the perennial river, where the water is being used for irrigation. Now, let us understand about the administration of the Chola Empire. There are few terms which we should be knowing about before we move towards the administration. They were being organized and diversified by Ur. The term Ur means the settlement of peasants. The word Nadu means the group of the villages of the settlements of the peasants was called as Nadu. Now, this is being termed as Nadu, where the group 1, Ur 1, Ur 2, Ur 3, all the settlements of the peasants, when they join together, they form as Nadu. Velala, it was a caste of the rich peasants. And Brahmadaya, land gifted to Brahmanas by kings. Details of such grants were being recorded on the copper plates which can be seen in the picture. Some rich landowners were honored the titles of Muvavendalan, that is a velen or a peasant serving 3 kings. Then we had the Aryer, and they were who is being termed as a chief. and they were also entrusted with key or important offices at the state and the center. Now let us move towards the Brahmadaya. What do we understand by the term Brahmadaya? The Chola administration, the Chola administration was a centralized bureaucratized monarchy maintained large royal standing army which was recruited and controlled by the Chola rulers. It was administered in the following ways. Local level Brahmin village assembly was called as Sabha and non-Brahminical assembly was called as Nadu. Then the local level was being divided into two. That was, one was Sabha and the other one was Nadu. The Brahmin village assembly was being called as Sabha and non-Brahminical was being called as Nadu. Or the local peasant assembly, Ur, performed many administrative functions. The rich peasants of Velala caste exercised control over the affairs of the Nadu under the supervision of central Chola government. Association of the traders altogether were known as Nagarams, occasionally performed the administrative functions in the town. Now the Sabha were being looked after Brahmadaya, that is, about the level of the assembly, the local level of the Brahmin assembly. They had separate committees. The work for these committees were to look after irrigation work, temple work, the charity work, etc. were all being taken care by the Sabha committee. Now, the members of the Sabha used to got elected through a lucky draw. It was difficult, dear children. It was not so easy. Candidates could contest elections only if they had their own homes, the most important priority. Again, they should be aged between 35 to 70 years. They should be well versed in Vedas and administrative matters. And the most important is the honesty, which should be regarded to hold the position of a Sabha member. Then only they could be elected. So it was not an easy task to get an elected member anyhow. Again, anyone, whoever is lucky, can be elected as a Sabha, as a member of the Sabha committee who will be looking after the Brahmadaya work. Non-Brahminical, they had their own assemblies